Welcome to the Middlemen, where truth and justice collide. Every case is a story, and every argument a path. Today on the Middlemen, Juror Olajumoke James, ever smiling, will be questioning if what we practice in Nigeria is democracy or are the demons running crazy. Juror Evans will be dissecting the political landscape of Rivers State, Nigeria, in his case titled A Rivers Assembly of Ignorance. Juror Innocent Aduluba, ever innocent, will be advocating for the needs of the masses in his case where ex-President Obasanjo accuses Tinubu of waste. While I, Juror Emeka, will be presenting a case titled And VDM Blew My Mind, addressing the need for Nigeria to adopt the global influencer market. All these cases will be in a bit. Stay with us. You're welcome back. My case, and VDM blew my mind. I watched a video of controversial vlogger, Very Dark Man, aka VDM, on the tour of a factory in China. He was visiting the factory of a Chinese man, whom he helped to recover money earlier lost to a transaction with a Nigerian. According to VDM, the Nigerian has started repaying the money. The Chinese man, simply named Ross, said he had been exporting rubber footwear to Nigeria and other African countries for some years. He also said he was ready to do business with genuine Nigerian business people and even train those wishing to go through technical apprenticeship. This is just one of VDM's videos about his ongoing visit to China. And is he making sense? Yes. That brings me to the strength of soft power, which successive Nigerian governments have been neglecting. That's where the real oil lies. My verdict: Nigeria must speedily key into the global influencer market beyond just talking about sexual matters. You know, Akpabio, Natasha matters. According to Meta AI, the global influencer market size is expected to grow to $22.2 billion by 2025, this year. This significant growth is driven by the increasing popularity of social media platforms and the effectiveness of influencer marketing in reaching targeted audiences. Influencers have become essential in various industries, including fashion, beauty, fitness, and lifestyle. They leverage their massive followings to promote products, services, and ideas, often earning substantial amounts in the process. For instance, Kylie Jenner can charge up to $1 million per sponsored post. The influencer market encompasses various types of influencers, including nano-influencers with smaller niche followings. They often have higher engagement rates and are more cost-effective for brands. Micro-influencers, having larger followings than nano-influencers, they still offer targeted reach and authenticity. Macro-influencers, with massive followings, they provide broad reach and are often used for large-scale brand awareness campaigns. As the influencer market continues to grow, brands are increasingly incorporating influencer marketing into their strategies to tap into the vast potential of social media. I rest my case.
As an event producer, I know that influencer marketing is huge already in Nigeria. A lot of event executive producers, those are the ones sponsoring, the corporate organizations having their anniversaries, product launches or whatever, would look at the social media following of whoever it is that they're approaching to MC, host, present their event, because they're expecting that you will do all the paparazzi and still put it on social media. Oh, I'm hosting Oluwaloni Your Limited 7th year anniversary. I'm hosting Enterprise TV's media launch or podcast, and do all your paparazzi and put it on social media, and it will create awareness. When your 100 million followers or thereabouts, or 2 million or whatever it is, you know, see that on your social media and become more aware of the customer that you influenced for. Particularly the Nigerian government, they know of this power. And we criticize them when they carried a few influencers. We call them comedians. All of Lagos, who is that? And then carry them to, was it China? It's the same China. To go and be telling us about CNG. We said, which government official is driving a CNG vehicle?
Nobody.
None of them. You are now carrying basket mount and, you know, and two baba to China. What's that? Ola of Lagos. You will love it. You know, VDM is an influencer that I love to hate, because you have to be careful of these people and their influence, particularly on young minds, impressionable young ones, who cannot authenticate news like you and I can. If I see anything on social media, I was saying, and I still cannot remember that story till tomorrow. I was saying in the gathering that I went to the hairdressers and he said, did you hear that somebody died? Somebody very prominent too. And I'm like, no, I didn't hear. I was surprised that I, as a journalist, didn't hear. So I went on Twitter, which is, you know, breaking news, trending stories you will find on Twitter. I didn't see. I said, where did you? I said, that's been trending on TikTok since yesterday. TikTok? Is that your source of news? Did you go and check, you know, the global news station? Did you check conventional media? So VDM coming to tell us that because he does things like this, like the case you have mentioned, like I mentioned, he's somebody that I love to hate. I pretend that he doesn't exist at all. Not because of his influence, but because if not well censored, it can be very negative because of the amount of impressionable minds that follow such people.
Yeah, but
he was telling us that they stole 200 million from his website. If not that, some of us, the older ones, have common sense. The people who are donating to his foundation would have swallowed that lie, hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, but we are not the ones donating. Let them donate.
No, but we have to question now. If your children start to donate to VDM,
I think that guy have. His problem is that he's unschooled.
Yes.
That's his major problem.
Yes, it can be taught.
It's not very deep a person. But what he did, I watched that video just some minutes ago. The video that Emeka is referring to in this case, and I find it very, 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 very good, because what he has done is even the man that came to look for him.
Yes.
Okay. Then China, when he saw his school, I was in China, and now he's using the opportunity to more like the job of our Minister for External Affairs is what he's doing by default or in a way. Now he's opening a vista for possible business interactions for entrepreneurs, which makes a lot of sense. Okay,
yeah, absolutely.
He can be schooled. That's correct. Okay, if he stays away from the excesses of jumping into every case without necessarily having evidence. But I want to focus on the case, and that's what is important.
I think go and focus on Bobrisky and such story.
Let's hear the case.
I don't discuss Bobrisky. I'm manipulator. So, but you see, the economic influence of his trajectory on this matter is one that is very critical, because government, the president have been flying to China for God knows since he got into office, he's flying to everywhere. You told us that two investors came to sign. I'm not hearing anything about that till now. So the president travel all over the place is as far as any other thing. But this guy is here and is creating from there. This Chinese guy, they have friends that are into other areas of business.
Absolutely.
You can plug into the and see, the truth is, as long as government have refused to do what it ought to do, individuals will begin to pick up these things, and they begin to open up the space for people. Sure. But one of the problems we have in that space or influentials is that they find it very difficult to draw the younger people into the space. If you go and ask younger comedians of their views about trying to get to know and trying to get to associate with the older ones, they will tell you their stories. I know a lot of them. The older ones don't want the younger ones to come on.
Great job.
It's the same thing with the literary society in Nigeria. Those who have made it don't want the younger ones. We should stop all that and bridge the gap. We need much more by collaborating and then make ourselves great once again.
Well, the social media space seems to be a borderless place for all comers. It thrives on innovation. So where like Barrister said, younger ones feel limited. They should innovate.
Absolutely.
And take another route to the top.
Yes.
They say take the message, leave the messenger. Let's deal with VDM's message and leave his controversial personality by the side. Social media, AI, and all of that, they seem to be the new thing on the block, save that for some people, they don't know the difference between creativity of content and just sending out vulgarities. Everything nowadays, everything nowadays is content. Somebody going to have a base that is private is content. Couples, conjugal privacy, content. And so, as long as it increases the numbers for the income, people don't really care no better. Well, an eye-opener, I think, I don't know if I'm speaking negatively. I recently think that Nigeria should be where people are showcasing to the world, not even the China. Because if we get our things right here, like you said, where the government doesn't take a particular track, people will do it on their behalf. The discussion, the gossip before we came on air is even funny, where, in quotes, Nigeria's little neighbor, Togo, is swelling where we are shrinking.
They are well swollen,
you know, and
all the Togolese in Nigeria have now abandoned us.
You know,
before it was the Cotonou people.
It's because the Naira is now weaker.
Chatham House says you even get weaker.
But those are my language. That there's the impotency of the Naira.
So you were saying that a VDM and other influencers should go to our yam farms to go and show that we're planting yam, so that the Chinese exporter or the German exporter.
Do you know, Jumoke, if China had the volume of Nigerian yams and cassava, that business will not be at this level. It would have flown. They will have whatever machines that peel it, that fry it, that you know.
Where are Bukola Saraki's farmers in Kwara?
No, you are not bringing in the politicians. We are trying to avoid. We are looking at the soft power. We're looking at the soft power. No, yeah, they brought. Look, let me tell you what VDM has shown. What blew my mind was that just a private visit and see how within the context of that. Let me tell you, like Barrister said, you're talking about showcasing Nigeria. VDM can actually just get these guys
come over this way,
take them to places, and before you know what's happening, you will see investments running into, you know, millions of dollars coming in. But you know what? The Nigerian government officials will now they will now jump on it and look for how they will try to either appropriate it or spoil VDM's name. You know, so there's the absence of creativity in government. Even though we have a creative economy.
That's where lack of education will now make one, like a VDM, become a victim of their own success.
No, but let me tell you, someone like Kalijan and some of these global influencers, how educated are they?
They're homeschooled.
Well, homeschooled. Well, there's nothing stopping VDM from being homeschooled.
So we're saying the same thing.
Yeah, it's so
influencers are going to go into the whichever industry they're going to get an education. School is not scam at all.
No, it's not. That is why you need people like VDM as a solid example that school is not scam, as a solid example of the creativity that lies within Nigerians and, you know, the power.
And then you're responding to what Juror Evans mentioned about younger comedians always complaining that the older ones do not encourage them. You will find that the older comedians, they are having problems staying relevant.
Exactly.
The young comedians who they didn't help are becoming innovative, so they're not copying their style, they're different. We're tired of their style, we're looking towards the younger ones, and so you will find that they're doing collabos so that they stay relevant. Look at Basket Mouth trying to move from comedy to movie production and looking to collaborate with everyone, because all of a sudden he finds that you have gone ahead to do your thing for many years and you're no longer in sync with what is happening in the industry. Younger ones have come up, you take them up or not, they have grown, you have grown. now the brands are looking for younger influencers.
True.
And you no longer find, you just find that you are also some sort obsolete or too old, or it's the same clients. Meanwhile, new businesses and clients are coming.
That are Gen Z clients.
Are coming into the industry. Gen Z is a huge population that they're looking to talk to. If your language cannot communicate with those ones, they're not going to come for you.
Okay, so much for that.
We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, the juror from Rabbi will be presenting a case titled A Rivers Assembly of Ignorance. Don't go anywhere.
Now, welcome to the Middlemen of Jurors. My case, A Rivers Assembly of Ignorance. In recent week, the political landscape of Rivers State has become increasingly tumultuous as a visible rift between the Rivers State Assembly and Governor Fubara has re-emerged. This conflict has drawn public attention, contributing to an atmosphere of uncertainty and tension within the state. Despite the necessity for cooperation and collaboration in governance, the action taken by the Assembly, particularly following the Supreme Court verdict, raised serious questions about their motive and intention. The Supreme Court, a recent ruling which has significant implications for political stability and governance in Rivers State, ought to have invoked a spirit of reconciliation. Instead, we have witnessed a series of confrontational maneuvers from the State Assembly that seems to be more about political posturing than genuine governance. Demanding that Governor Fubara, present his budget and person, and subsequently locking him out of the State House is a move that cannot be condoned or should not be condoned, because it undermines the authority of the governor. It also disrupts the workflow of government operations. Governance thrives on collaboration, and it is essential for elected officials to work together for the welfare of the citizens they represent. The Assembly's ultimatum to Governor Fubara to come represent budget reflects a troubling sentiment. By placing such demand on the state leadership, the Assembly appears to prioritize their political agenda over the need of the people. It is essential to remember that the budget is a comprehensive document that requires careful deliberation and input, and the theatrics surrounding the presentation should not overshadow this critical process. Moreover, locking the governor out of the State House is at best an unprofessional gesture that can erode the trust that the public has in their leaders. It sends a message that political rivalry takes precedence over state governance, which is detrimental to the stability of that state, meaning Rivers State. Instead of engaging in power struggle, both parties should focus on cooperative governance, finding common grounds for the benefit of the citizen. Additionally, the political motive behind this action was be scrutinized. The Assembly's behavior suggests an underlying power struggle that may stem from personal ambition or party loyalty rather than a commitment of public service or to public service. In a democratic government, accountability and transparency are paramount, and the public have a right to question whether the Assembly is genuinely acting in the best interest of Rivers State, or if they are merely playing for the gallery for political games. My verdict: As the residents of Rivers State watch this unfolding drama, it is critical for both the Assembly and the governor to rise above political trivialities. They have a responsibility to engage in dialogue, address their governance, and work towards a more harmonious relationship. By doing so, they can demonstrate a commitment to effective governance and unite all fronts in addressing the challenges that face the state. The current discord between the Rivers State Assembly and Governor Fubara is not only unnecessary, but also counterproductive. And same is quite very painful. The path where progress lies in the fact that the ultimatum given to the governor to come present his budget is wrongful and illegal. An executive bill is one that must emanate from the executive at a time convenient for the executive for the purpose of good governance. It does not of the executive or the status of assembly to force or foist the responsibility or make such fierce demand with ultimatum just because there's a court judgment to that effect. The Supreme Court never gave any timeline. The Supreme Court only asked the governor to go present his budget to the status of assembly, which is backed up by law. So there's a need for the assembly to prioritize what's legal to avoid this level of disrespect and disgrace that we often see in their mix. And so I shall go to Rabbi again.
Oh, well, Rivers State has refused to go away from the news for all the wrong reasons. There is charity begins abroad in Rivers now. Abroad is Abuja, and at home is Port Harcourt there. Of course, last week, following the Supreme Court rulings, everybody heard the timely and prompt response of Governor Fubara saying he will obey the court orders, just that the outgoing local government chairman should hand over to heads of local government on their way out. But I think it may be seen that the camp opposing the governor could interpret that Supreme Court ruling as a pointer to their own triumph. Like you have, from that case, a political triviality, where the primary priority is the interest and service of the masses. I have always said that Governor Siminalayi Fubara holds a constitutional mandate backed by law, should get all the right lawyers who can give him the right interpretation and counsel. Otherwise, he may be heading for an inevitable impeachment. However it goes, they will tell us it is politics. And the governor had, to me, played into their hands from the very beginning when he initially withdrew a case he had going to the same court, as it were. So, I don't know, his hands are full.
I think the withdrawal of that case was based on procedure, that it should have been filed at the Federal High Court and not a State High Court.
Did he now go to the Federal High Court?
Yeah, he has gone to the Federal High Court. And now the members of Rivers State, those 27 fellows, have, also filed, have also challenged they filed a motion of notice, saying that it has become an academic exercise since the Supreme Court has ruled. But there is the issue about whether that the Supreme Court didn't make a definitive pronouncement on the impeachment, because it noted that there was a pending matter before a Federal High Court. Okay. So I think it's up to the courts to now rule. But the statements made by Nyesom Wike yesterday were totally shocking and highly, grossly irresponsible.
About
and I wonder
many
things he said. You know,
he says nothing will happen.
Saying that you know, you don't say that. And I think President Tinubu, you know, that's one thing I detest about his style of politics.
Well, he said he had told Fubara to go and reconcile with Wike.
No, Tinubu won't accept that. Okay, fine. Then let's tell Aregbesola to go and reconcile with Tinubu. You won't accept that. You don't put your fellow politician. Tinubu is just president, primus inter pares, while Fubara is, you know, Fubara is heading a subnational. Why do you subject him to such humiliation by an officer in your government? It's wrong.
3 points on this matter. Number 1, former minister, former governor Amaechi tried to do the same thing to Wike. Wike vehemently rejected it.
With 7 members of the House.
It was war. Second point, Juror Innocent was saying the will of the masses, Sim Fubara has a mandate. Which mandate? We saw on social media how youth corps members were killed during elections in Rivers State. Governor presidential and gubernatorial, both of them, sir. Outgoing Governor Wike at the time made this seem like it was a do or die. We will hear things underground that he had spoken to Labour Party candidate Peter Obi, who wasn't going to adhere to the conditions given to him. But the elections, it was like going to war in Port Harcourt. We saw the results that came out. How they will say no election in this polling unit, but results will show online.
Those are political miracles.
Number 3.
Political miracles.
Number 3. Ex-governor, now Minister Wike, when he started boasting, said, let one of them, plus governor, plus commissioners, plus State House of Assembly members, let one of them come and tell us that they bought their tickets themselves. He bought their tickets for them. The mandate Fubara is sitting on is mandate of godfatherism. So which mandate is he going to use to fight the godfather that puts him in position?
Even said a few days ago he said a few days ago that they told him to get a proper German. I don't know what he meant by that.
So,
but that he went to get somebody from Opopo. I mean, that if he had known, he would have. So he made it clear that it's about personal interest.
Juror from Rabbi, the blood of the youth corps members shed during elections, do you think they will just go and sleep? They are fighting back. They are asking questions. Who put you in position? Who killed us so that you can become governor?
Yeah, I agree. But let me just put this quickly. On the choice of governorship candidate, I learned that there were people Wike approached, and they dodged. They said they didn't want to because they knew.
They did not want to be God's sons.
That they knew that having issue that they will surely have issues with Wike, and they were not ready.
But he turned it around. He turned it around to say that. The people told him that he should get a proper
it's just being clever. Fubara was a last ditch choice. He wasn't even
thinking. Okay, when he chose Fubara, when he was leaving office, he signed checks. Outgoing governor signing checks for incoming governor.
But we also know about former governors who have been signing C of O's. Even more than 10 years after they left office.
We have a barrister on this table. Is that legal? That sitting governor cannot sign more than 15 million. He has to go and consult his godfather.
What about certificates of occupancy?
Certificate of occupancy being signed by previous governors when they are no longer there, I mean, it's wrong.
It's illegal now. You don't even need to ask a primary school child there.
It's not backed by law. It's not backed by law because the C of O is supposed to be signed by governor or someone who is delegated, who the governor delegated.
You say, the governor's signature is there. But the person who approves which one will be signed.
If it's like Governor Yaya Bello and Okpodo, Abi Ododo. Where Yaya Bello is SWAL governor, where EFCC is coming to arrest you as former, and sitting governor is saying, no, you kill me first. And sitting governor is telling his subordinates, listen, if Uncle Yaya speaks, and I say something that is contrary, listen to him first. You know who the governor is now. The puppet masters are
okay, but there is a point raised by Barrister Evans that Wike is quoted to say as saying he was supposed to pick a proper
German.
So I'm wondering.
So is it the governor that
hold on. Well, no, that is it. That is what it is now. Opobo is like a town elastic on two names. On the Akwa Ibom side of the border, they know it as Ikodabasi.
Yes.
Yes. While on the river side is Opobo, and such border towns have admixtures of language. If you ask me, cultural identity. I know somebody whose name is an Akwa Ibom name who tells me he's from River. He does not know the meaning of the name. Like if you are Iboko,
no, yeah. I'm waiting. Yes, yeah. I'm waiting for.
But he knows he's from
that area.
River. So if within the geography of rivers, Opobo falls in, what makes Sim a proper or improper German for?
That's what I'm telling you. That's the deceit there, because he's saying that they told him to get a proper Calabari man. That the Calabari man that represents Joe and all that. And I say that's wrong. That's wrong.
Because we are giving credence to where the governor is from.
The boss is from that state.
No,
we are stating what the governor
said. Politically it's relevant.
We're not taking this as a testament.
It's the party that zone.
We're talking party politics where we're discussing government.
No, you have to. You cannot separate them.
I disagree.
You cannot separate them.
It's about convention.
No, party convention. I'm talking constitution.
No, there are laws and there are conventions. That is why you have zoning. You know, not
zoning in constitution.
It's not in the constitution.
It's the parties that zone. Constitution is powerless against zone. Get me? The Nigerian constitution cannot tell a political party where or where not to. Am I in another place?
We are not discussing party politics.
Even the constitution talks about inclusiveness. Okay.
No. Governor is as far as he's from that state, I'm saying that whichever criteria that a political party and their own constitution are using to zones, we're talking of a subsisting governor. I don't care where he's from. Is he from River State?
Based on what Wike said that we're analyzing.
Analyzing the constitution.
And I'm asking, rather than tell Wike, who doesn't have any rights at all to be influencing a sitting governor, rather than telling him to sit down, even we are now discussing the politics he introduced. Giving the credit.
That's why we are jurors
politics, not his politics. That's the party. He's telling you what leaders of the party told him then.
We don't care. We don't care.
We have to analyze it. We have to analyze the full story. We don't agree with that kind of governance.
Exactly.
We have to analyze the identities.
Because
that's what it is.
It's something that is existing.
Okay.
I think that's the much you can.
All right. So when we return, Jumoke will be stating her case, which she has titled "Democracy or Democracy." Which one are we practicing in Nigeria? Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Middleman.
And you're welcome back. We're still on the Middlemen, and my jurors are still here with me. My case: demon crazy or democracy? Democracy doesn't seem to be working for Nigeria. With 200 to 250 million people, majority of them living in abject poverty, the deciding factors for who we elect or select are not aligning. While educated people think policies and capacity to lead with compassion, justice, equity, and competence, the poor just want someone to give them food immediately. and we can't blame them. Survival is a basic human instinct. Yes, we need educated leaders so they can hold intelligent conversations in the Committee of States. But look at the northern governors in Nigeria, quite a few of them with doctorate degrees. It will astound you when they empower their people with food, wheelbarrows, shoe shining kits, and things that don't really empower for long. How can very educated leaders do this, you may ask? Aside from weaponized poverty and a few of them wanting to keep the people just a little above poverty line, some of them genuinely believe that their people will appreciate these kinds of empowerments more than skill acquisition or formal education. In such a system, it's monarchy that works best. The people are so submissive and subservient, they kneel to greet the public servants, thank them for any benevolence, can't marry their poverty with corruption of these same leaders, think the leaders don't owe them anything, and don't hold them accountable for delivering governance, talk less of good governance. Unless they find an opposition leader who gives them money, food, and leads them to protest. Best believe they will protest for anything. Human lives have been made cheap. They don't even know that the primary role of government is to secure their lives and properties. Who will tell them? Now, with the majority of the country's population being in this strata of society, election cycle after cycle, we may continue to get the same kinds of results. Let the educated minority continue to argue on Twitter. The elections will be decided by the poor, uneducated majority. I mean, we see videos of children voting in our elections. We go to elections petitions tribunals, waste time, and come back with the courts saying those elections are valid. No presidential election has been overturned in Nigeria by the courts, regardless of the electoral malpractices we see all over social media. In fact, 32 years after 1993's free and fair elections, Babangida confessed in his memoir that he annulled the elections and that MK Abiola won. And guess what? He got billions donated at the launch of that book. In countries where democracy works, that's enough to have him arrested and tried. Not in Nigeria. Our democracy is just so we align with the world system in which democracy is popular. Even if the system is corrupt, the politicians are dictators, just pretend to have elections and the global puppet masters will look the other way. I mean, the world knew MK Abiola won in 1993. At the end of his struggle to recover his mandate, his wife was assassinated and he got served tea. End of. In the monarchical world, even though the king is not questioned because he was chosen by the gods, there's a system in place that checks erring kings. They can be banished from their thrones. In Nigeria, our monarchs have now been placed under local government councillors. Everyone just getting paid, collecting royalties, respected by their subjects, have no political power nor real influence, and just look the other way in the face of bad governance. If they dare criticize government, they can be removed from office by a governor and nothing will happen. That's Nigeria's democracy. It only pays the global puppet masters, the political class used as puppets, allowed to swallow the country's patrimony, do as they wish, as far as they don't upset the world leaders. Here's my verdict. Nigeria's democracy does not work for the people, except for those close to the political elites. That's why there's always a flock of people who defend the elites. They get crumbs from their tables by association, so they will be the first to shout you down if you criticize their paymasters. There are even a few not close to anyone. They become self-minions in the hope that tables will turn and they will be close to the seat of power someday. They are currently not getting any benefits, but if the system remains this warped, they hope to get their own share of the national cake in the nearest future. Some of them die waiting. Luck shines on some, and the corrupt system is sustained. The corrupt politicians benefiting from this system will not change it. It has to be the people to demand better, and we cannot do it if majority live in abject poverty. Hence, I'm advocating for us to feed, educate, secure, and provide adequate health care for Nigeria's poor. Then we will find better leadership from the educated mass.
Interesting advocate.
You see, one of the ways that the Nigerian people can get themselves free from the politicians is if the Nigerian people can, since the government have failed completely, is that if the citizens can, by their own struggles, okay, maybe through entrepreneurship, agriculture, or whatsoever, get themselves fully independent. Fully independent. I mean, in terms of their needs, financial gains, and the rest of that. And then acquire the moral stamina. Okay, the moral stamina to reject certain gratification. I don't know that this is possible. You see all these things we are saying about our political system. Once the politician brings money to any community, everything we are saying here is blown by the wind. You will now see people compromise. Is it the Senate president himself that went to carry ballot box? Apart that is there now today, did he contest the election?
No.
That is being accused now. So did he contest the election?
He didn't do primaries.
So you see at every level. Yeah, he didn't do primaries. You understand? So you see at every level, if we can, those who now make it possible for him to get there, the judiciary inclusive, if they had stood their ground, would have probably emerged as Senate president.
No, never.
Just for example.
Never.
That's what I'm saying. So in my estate, we're planning how we're going to fight to ensure that we have everything. So, and these are not people that are poor. So the poor person, what do you expect him to do? So I mean, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's a very interesting.
I don't know whether it's possible for Nigeria to change. I don't know whether it's possible for Nigeria to change. I don't know.
People you're even advocating for don't want Nigeria to change because it guarantees handouts. It guarantees freebies for them.
Freebies once in a while. It's not regular.
No, you think it's not regular. Let me tell you. They have the people you call poor.
Yes.
Poverty is actually an enterprise in Nigeria. Let me give you an example.
That is what I'm saying.
Go to Kano Street.
That's what I'm saying, for want of the language.
Go to Kano Street in Ebute Metta. The people there are abject beggars. They are abject poor.
Yes.
But that is a big business.
For the people who bring them.
Yes, for the people who bring them, the people who maintain them.
You
know. And I want to tell you that you see all these Okada riders, all these iron scavengers and all that. They belong to the Arewa Traders Association. It is a strong association in different states of Nigeria. So every day, you have to deliver a certain amount of money.
It's a lie.
So, I'm telling you, you see, I wish I could just break out of this laziness and do a book, because there are many things I've discovered in my journalism career that honestly, Nigerians don't, really get it. Now, they give you a loan. You can buy a bike, or you can go into your scavenging business, or different things. You get a loan. And then you pay every day. That's why you see them, they gather, at certain times of the day, maybe around 11 p.m., before 11 a.m. before noon, they gather, meet, discuss, and then from, in time, you see those in kiosks, kiosks built with, makeshift materials, now moving into shops. Because why? There is this backup. If they get into trouble, police trouble also, the circuit will come. There's money available, which they will pay back later. Wow. So, one thing I want to tell you is this. Forget about this issue of poverty. You see, poverty in Nigeria is a system. It's an enterprise. I wish I could do a book on it. It's an enterprise. All over Nigeria. The people you think that are poor, look, there are some of them. Like, there was a story somebody did, very elaborate story, about begging in America. There are, now did investigative stories about the richest beggars in America. There are some who have been there for 30 years, I think maybe 50 years. They've refused to leave the begging trade.
Wow.
Because, and if you look at what some of them own, I had a friend who worked for one beggar, who used to move
your
about.
Friend worked for a beggar?
Yeah.
But your friend was not begging?
Worked for a beggar. Let me land. The beggar was moving around on a wheelchair. So he would stay somewhere on the wheelchair, somewhere in Lagos on the wheelchair. And then he has 6 bikes. This, my friend, was one of the bike riders. And it wasn't until one day, he said it to us, and we just laughed over it. Until one day I was going to see somebody around that area. And I saw him actually making delivery.
to this guy.
On a wheelchair.
On the wheelchair by the junction of a street. At that time, this thing I'm telling you about is more than 20 years ago. The guy had 6.
But there's no law that said a beggar should not be an investor.
No. What I'm saying, I'm responding to that
system.
The fact that when you say poor in Nigeria, it is actually a misnomer. There is nothing called poverty in Nigeria. What exists?
Poverty is real.
I will tell you what exists as poverty. What exists as poverty is actually a deliberate system to empower the elite she talked about. So let me tell you.
You are talking about poverty fraud now. Poverty fraud.
That is it. That is what exists. Poverty fraud. And let me tell you something. You talk about feeding, education. There are places you go to say you want to do certain things. You could get beaten up. There are churches that have tried it. Their equipment and everything was damaged. There are NGOs that have tried it. And they were chased away. Do you know there was an NGO that went to somewhere in Lagos, I think was it Surulere also, to clear refuse. And area boys attacked them that they wanted to come and spoil their source of business. That they were making money from that refuse
blocked drainage.
So one thing is this, like barristers, rightly put it, poverty fraud. So we need to look at it, packaged, in different ways, and then it now scales up to democracy. It's not democracy, it's democracy. Because, all of these things are actually choreographed too. Let me tell you something. Nigerian politicians know what they are doing. It's just a play, it's just an act. I'll give you an example. Look at VDM has gone to China. Just one visit. And he has already started talking of, that, he will help people, to get connected to Chinese business. People want to learn and all of that. But do you know there are Nigerian businessmen and politicians too, including some of the popular ones, that we fall head over heels for? All they do is, I don't know which name barrister will call it, just give donations, They go to one school, they drop money. They go to one medical facility, they drop money. That money, I was thinking today, that money can actually be diverted. And it will make an impact on the school. But why not find a scheme whereby the products of that school, that money can actually touch their lives? For instance, when you graduate as a nurse, there are people whose parents have to go and borrow to get them registered with National Nursing Council. Because they don't have the money. Or what about if you set up a system whereby people graduate from nursing, then you can put that money for them to get their NRM, and then the other one, the midwife stuff. So what I'm saying is that the tokenism of Nigerian politicians, is when we just look at the huge amount. Somebody has donated 20 million, 100 million.
Anyway, my take here.
What we need to look at is this. The entire Nigerian system needs to be overhauled from top to bottom, because it's all a fraud.
Let me button. The topic is wide and expansive.
Yes.
And there is a pointer to how can Nigerians be liberated. Now, it looks like, there's something called social relations. The position of individual in the distribution of wealth is perpetuated. There's democracy in Nigeria. In Nigeria, at the level of our political culture, as long as you don't see a soldier with gun, there is democracy. Meanwhile, the fact of democracy is a government that respects equality, individual liberty, popular sovereignty, respect for human rights, and the rule of law. Grossly missing in this your case. 2, how can the people be liberated? Much of the media houses are government owned.
Owned by
politicians.
And the media is the vehicle of political socialization.
Yeah.
And so those people decide what content. If you, in fact, tonight, sit at 10 p.m. to watch the news that we like to watch. All of what you would have seen from afternoon happening across social media that are facts.
You will not see
make those headlines. And when you complain on those ones, the government has laws in place to hold you for fake news. You know, so a lot of this.
They are gatekeeping.
Yes, there are a lot of
information that passes to the masses.
Yes. Then, lastly, for my own point is the let me put it this way: I've seen someone. You see, government empowerment. That's where I'm going. Nigeria, with all our graduates, Professor English, have missed nomenclature lopsidedly. We have swapped charity for empowerment. If you buy bread for people, is empowerment. There is video to tell the world that you distributed medium loaves of bread.
From governor.
Yes. Meanwhile, the empowerment is creating the enablement for people to acquire skills or opportunities to become self-reliant or build towards that. That's not part of the agenda. And in all of this, you see, I've seen someone, I'm telling you now, where what you see on TV, they gave, like you've mentioned, wheelbarrow and co. These ones have bikes, vehicles, this bike that drop no, the ones that carry gifts. Dispatch, I've seen them. But he was with a list. And this list are names of party loyalists.
Yes.
So if I didn't vote for you, my name is not on that list. But it will be televised on the media as you empowering random masses. So my previous speakers have said, it now behooves tomorrow. I've seen people now. A woman say, her neighbor worked for this party during election. She came home with Korokwe boss, the other one with freezer. Next election, I will join them for their candidates to be recognized. So that what we call I'm talking to the demons that are randomly crazy now. So the demons are stronger than the democracy in Nigeria. And from what you have, there are foreign paymasters. Look at Juror Emeka telling us, as weak as the Naira has condescended relational to the Togolese currency, he has told us that Chatham House is still telling Nigeria that we need to go. So you look at the politics of inequality and dependency. Where is our political sovereignty? Because a good economy is the security of any democracy.
I may have to do part 2 of this story because there's so much to unpack.
No, please, do even do up to part 10.
So much to unpack. The politicians who are looking at institutions who need facilities and they're donating money to such institutions are not doing wrong. For instance, you have an institution, they have department of computer, for instance, they don't have computers, and somebody brings 20 million for you to buy computers so that the students in that institution...
It's better you buy the computers
and donate.
Because otherwise,
somebody can steal the 20 million.
No, they don't steal. Snakes could swallow.
Monkeys
snakes that are carnivores.
Snake in the monkey shadow.
So definitely this topic doesn't end here. You can join us on social media by commenting on all our platforms. But when we return on the Middlemen, Juror Innocent Adilugba would be advocating the needs of the masses. In his case, ex-President Obasanjo accuses Tinubu of waste. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hello there, this is still Enterprise TV and you are watching the Middlemen of Jurors. My case. Ex-President Olusegun Obasanjo accuses President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of waste. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has criticized the 15.6 trillion naira Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project and the 21 billion naira spent on a new residence for Vice President Kashim Shettima, describing both as wasteful and corrupt. These remarks were made in his newly released book, Nigeria, Past and Future, unveiled on his 88th birthday. Obasanjo accused Tinubu administration of prioritizing personal and political gains over national development, stating that leadership in Nigeria has largely been driven by self-interest and corruption. He highlighted instances of leaders using public funds to enrich themselves, calling the current system a transactional one, where governance is seen as an opportunity for personal enrichment. The Lagos-Calabar project awarded without competitive bidding to high-tech construction company, has faced criticism from opposition figures, including Atiku Abubakar, over transparency concerns. Obasanjo also questioned the economic rationale behind spending billions on a vice presidential residence amid widespread economic hardship in these times. Calling for reforms, Obasanjo suggested that Nigeria reconsiders its adoption of Western liberal democracy and develop a governance model that aligns with African history and culture, which he termed Afro-democracy. My verdict: there are clamors that the same amount can fix all the present bad roads in Nigeria. There are clamors for an east-west railway line from southwestern Nigeria to the southeast. Again, there are people in IDP camps who can better use the 21 billion naira spent on the house of the vice president. Let the masses be the priority of the government of the day.
Well, I understand that the vice president doesn't even live in that.
He don't. Oh God. Right.
In the 21 billion.
He doesn't live there.
I understand he doesn't live there.
So why?
It is rife in corruption and personal aggrandizement. Bam.
That's one person.
Bam.
How about millions in IDP camps?
Oh,
So
God.
what are we talking about? It's just Nigeria is just an enterprise of waste.
Oh God.
Because if you look at the Royal Niger Company that sold Nigeria, that sold the Southern Protectorate, Northern Protectorate, and the Lagos Colony, that sold them to the British government, what was it? It was just, an enterprise of fraud now.
Tubman Goldie.
An enterprise of fraud.
Oh.
The business they did with Oba Vorame, or is it Jaja of Okoko, or is it the king of Akasa? The king of Akasa, who saw he signed an agreement that was, not in his favor. When he now realized, he really went, the man went rogue, see some of their officials, he really dealt with them, but they
overpowered them.
Yes.
Up to brass.
Yes, they are carcerate, So, now, you look at, the whole of Nigeria is just an enterprise of fraud. That Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway is not going to get anywhere.
The most painful part is the demolition of trade landmark.
That landmark demolition was actually targeted at Peter Obi because they thought he was the owner of landmark.
Oh my God.
So that was it. Let me tell you, Omahi recently said that the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway
was supposed to be behind.
No, it will go inland because of the terrain. I said it on this program. I said it on this program, was it last year? I said that the terrain through which these people claim they want to run this Lagos-Calabar Highway, that there are some places where you have to put a bridge that is like twice or thrice third mainland.
Of course.
So how will you be able to finish such a project in 20 years?
That
was the point. Now they have agreed. They are going inland.
Going inwards.
They are going. They are going for.
Why can't they?
So what is the point?
Is there original plan was in roads.
Is there another landmark road now?
What we call the Water Corporation Road.
Yes.
Oh God.
That's the original road. But what did they do?
They wanted to demolish landmark.
Political vendetta. But at the end of the day, where have they got to? They are just around Ekpe. And they are saying they will soon enter Zone Stories. Umahi has told you that they will complete the road in Tinubu's second term.
You remember when when Umahi was having the press conference and a journalist from a TV station was asking, have you done environmental impact?
Yeah, that lady.
Yes, Leila. And he was saying, we have done it. Before that, he was saying, I don't understand this, your phone. And she stood her ground. That please just answer. Have you done environmental impact survey?
The entire project.
We have done it. We have it. We have it. Then he now comes back later to say, oh no, we cannot do the road because of they now said underground
cables for the
network cables for telecoms. Sir, if you did the environmental impact as they were asking you when you were doing press conference, would you not have known that there were underground cables before demolishing a business worth billions?
And
in 2 years, 7 million businesses have left Nigeria.
Yes.
What's the population of Togo?
It's not up to that.
Oh God.
So now, if you look at it, even we're even talking of landmark and then telecoms cables. But if they try that thing, by the time they get to Niger Delta, they will have to remove many pipelines.
Yes,
there are pipelines.
Coastal pipelines.
Yeah, there are pipelines crisscrossing the coast.
The creeks there.
But you see, Nigerians, we love to be deceived.
Ew.
Let one politician come and say, and the media,
15.6 trillion.
The media is also complicit in all of this.
But is it not the media that was asking for environmental impact?
No, one lady. The others, and was she from a legacy medium? No. Where were the others?
They were quiet.
Let's take Barrister Evans online on this. Juror Evans.
Yeah, in Nigeria, I think what our problem actually is, Obasanjo identifying our problem now. It's just one very serious issue that we must look at. It's our projects are self-serving. Okay, look at Tinubu now. Tinubu has focused more on personal, personal need and general need. Okay, billions for the vice president and spending money for cars for for everywhere. It's even the National Assembly. All those funds. Yeah, all those funds have been wasted in all these projects are funds that would have been put together to better the lives of the average youth of Nigeria.
Very true.
Because the energy with which the EFCC will have to use to suppress where our youth have channeled their energy to, it would have been easier for these institutions to work better if the government and have vested the energies of the younger generation by using all these funds they have wasted to buy jets and buy cars for President wife and the rest of that. If they had invested it in the youth, we'll be talking about a different thing entirely. But no, what they do is just to take the funds, divert it, or that is the Calabar-Lagos highway, coastal highway. Now, what is the economic value of that road? What is the economic value of that road?
Peter, why
don't you channel? Why don't you use that
we have highways already?
Why don't you use that money to? Why don't you use that money to have a railway across? Maybe from Lagos to the east.
No, but it's higher.
Okay, where have been no proper distance, so that people can do business and the rest of that. Okay. When the goods arrive in Apapa port, and then you have to spend extra 6 million to truck it from Apapa to the east, and then it leaves you with inflation costs on the goods. Why don't you have a port in the east, or at best a railway from Lagos direct to where you know that I don't know. The problem we have is one that is Tinubu just came and compounded it.
I agree.
That is why a lot of people yearn for P2B, who was talking about cost of governance, cutting down. Because the resources is sufficient.
He sacked 5 ministers and hired 7 one time.
And he has cut governance.
Oh God.
He
was asking them about this coastal way and saying, we have existing highways right now to the east. They're in deplorable states. Why not repair the existing roads? At least that's the immediate amelioration. Short-term solution. While they are budgeting for either railway or coastal road or whatever, the existing roads are in a poor state. If you put 15 trillion to repairing from Lagos to Calabar,
Okay, Obasanjo also raised the second issue. Quick one.
Again, let me quickly mention though that Obasanjo, a lot of our parents will curse him out.
Let's take the messenger. Leave the messenger.
I like to take the messenger.
That for me,
we're dealing with the message.
We'll be explicitors.
We're dealing with the message. Obasanjo is not the pride of any Nigerian.
So he's writing a book now, but he went to go and sit with
Obasanjo, when Aguiyi was overthrown, on July 29, 1966, why didn't go on, who became the head of that government.
That one is a fruitless gathering.
Why didn't they restore power to the regions, hold elections and restore power to the regions? In 1979, Obasanjo was in charge. Why didn't he return parliamentary system? People told him. The people who are running the Western region.
So it's the father of our problem.
Yes, the people who are running the regions then.
You see, we cannot run from the messenger.
Nnamdi Azikiwe was alive. Obafemi Awolowo was alive. And some other people who were, who were part and parcel of the regions.
Of the region.
Yes, and the parliamentary system were alive. So by 1979, Nigeria had matured to an extent where we could understand certain things better. So if there had been regions, there were states by then, but if we had had parliamentary system,
the states came from regions, we can recognize them.
If we had parliamentary system in the 19 states, what would have happened would have just been the magic word that Abacha used. The geopolitical, realignment. Just realign it and give, make it in such a way that you will see people will be more focused on the regions than on the federal. But Obasanjo wanted a Shagari he could control. Not knowing that the music was changing. By then, Abacha, Babangida and co were coming into the picture. And they said, this man, you have enjoyed your own stay. How do you want to put somebody in power that you still continue control? It cannot work.
Okay, let me take a second shot. Obasanjo thinks the democracy should come like an African model. For instance, Juror Emeka, you've been telling us how Chatham House tells President what to do.
Yes.
Meanwhile, if we had our own democracy, it doesn't end with just 4 years. If you look at Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, with military intervention, their campaign is revolutionary to the extent that they need a government where the citizens own their resources. If we look at the Gaddafi model, whatever name you give it, the Libyans were better off with him.
Monarchy.
So, with that message, is it time for we in Nigeria to look inward for a kind of this democracy is okay?
Democracy.
What we need is
democracy.
Nigeria's problem today is Abuja. That place called Aso Rock.
Let's decentralize.
It's Nigeria's problem. Remove powers from Aso Rock. There will be no Wike troubling a governor. Let me tell you, it's a simple thing. Aso Rock is the problem of Nigeria. That is it.
Thank you, sir.
That is it. Where the president has all those powers, remove those powers, restructure. That's what I tell people, restructure. Give powers to the states and to the local government.
Yes, because in developed countries, the federal powers are few. Defense, currency, customs,
foreign policy,
but in Nigeria,
look at
education, road and housing in South Africa is done by the local government.
Look at the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi. He has been traveling, from country to country. Because
that's what the center is supposed to be doing.
Foreign relations,
sir. Oga Traore, I want to japa to Burkina Faso.
Okay, I think that's the much you can take on this as we wrap this edition of The Middlemen. We'll leave you with the challenge to think critically and seek understanding in the complexities that change our world. Do well to follow us across our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7 and visit our website at www.enterprisetvnews.com. Thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you next time again when the edition gets bumper and more appetizing. Take care. Bye.